Hey guys, welcome back to Bloody Brain Bears podcast. We've got a new one tonight. It's called On the Piss. We're basically going to be doing this during isolation, maybe afterwards. Going a bit away from the serious sort of shit that we've been doing with the breweries. Just going to have a general chat with a couple of people. So, got a special guest along with us tonight. His name's Mike Oxlong. He's a very well-known figure in the Bloody Brain Bears community. So, how are we doing tonight, bro?
Oh, mate, fantastic. Always good to see your guys' faces. And, mate, having a couple of beers. And, yeah, hopefully this could go either way. This could really go either way.
Mate, we had a pretty good reception to your cameo in the Road to 4K podcast. So we thought we'd get you back in for the first ever weekly installment of On the Piss.
Perfect.
Just on that, the video that we posted about it was absolutely hilarious. You talking about you and your friends perfecting the reverse goat piss over in England.
Yep.
And it wasn't until the next day that I realized, I was like, why is it called the reverse goat's piss? So my curiosity got the better of me, and I actually Googled goats pissing, and this is what I found.
So see? It's a thing. It's an actual thing. I wasn't joking. And mind you, goats have got weird eyes. So they've got rectangle eyes. Don't like them. They're creepy. But yeah,
look at the one on the left, bro. He's just like staring into your soul, eh? Like that's a sketchy motherfucker.
They're scary animals, but yeah, it was a fantastic story. It was we all went over there, played a bit of footy. There's a few of us, and the foreigners, we did get carried away, and there's a lot of wrestling just between us. There was nothing too bad. We were just lids off wrestling on the dance floor and stuff like that. And we got, obviously the reverse goat piss, I think, was the last straw. And we were swiftly banned straight after.
Far out.
I'm ruining the whole show. Save that for later. I just wanted to check that we were recording, but I hope we are anyway.
Yeah, no, it looks like we are.
Okay, beautiful.
Perfect.
Off to a ripper start. But before we crack into more, we were sort of having a chat off air, and we figured people don't really know who you are, mate. So, like, they see this polarizing figure, but just give us a bit of an introduction to who you are.
That fella right there. I'm just your classic Aussie battler. Probably done one too many footy tours through Southeast Asia, and along the way you collect a few yarns, and obviously I've got a little bit to share. So, I thought, what a better way than get a gig on the Bloody Brilliant
on the greatest podcast on earth
ever,
yeah, exactly.
the second most greatest show on turf. And yeah, mate, here I am, and I love it, I love reviewing beers and wearing weird stuff. It's just what me and my friends do.
I love that.
Bloody oath, and you do it very well as well. Also, just a real random one. How do you think you're going to go in the polls in the Jeeps team of the decade, mate?
Oh, mate, hopefully I can do a few underhanded payments and get a good, hopefully get a Guernsey. But if not, I'll be very cross. And
fuck.
No,
I
mate,
might have to make a couple of burner accounts.
we might, but as a cohort, we might have to really go in there.
Surely we can leverage the group a little bit. Yeah,
I reckon. How many thousand followers we have now?
I think we're at 4,000.
Just over 4,000. Yeah.
I reckon, boys, vote for me. Vote for me when it comes.
Vote one. We should start that. I might post it on Instagram tomorrow. Vote one, Mike Oxlong.
That'd be so good.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so good.
All right. Well, we thought for this one we'd change it up a bit, and we've actually we've had a few people, followers of the Instagram page and the group and stuff, write in to help out with some segments. But I guess before we start off, a few people have actually sent in their isolation beer setup and what they've been up to. So before we get into that, how's isolation been for you boys? What's we sort of touched on it on the podcast the other night, but how's the isolation beers been going down?
Mate, it's been pretty hit and miss. There's been a couple of weekends where we really just let the dogs out and pin the ears, but besides that, we're just mates
doing what we can.
If I wasn't working on site, I reckon I'd have lost my mind by now. But yeah, at the moment it's not going too bad. I'm in spotted trouble on the missus from a few edibles.
Aren't we all?
Look at it.
Oh, well, it's all right. What can she do? Look, mate, for myself, came out of the blocks firing with that house party app. Had some good times on there with some of the boys, and then also even Facebook Messenger. It was a bit quiet for the last few weeks. I haven't minded isolation, to be honest. It's been all right to have a bit of a break from work and that sort of shit. But then I just got too toey for beers. And last Sunday was at Easter. Yeah, I ended up getting pretty fucked up. I think I made like 5 or 6 posts in the group that night. It was pretty...
that was good.
Yeah,
was that when that what were you wearing?
He's wearing the beer
beer costume.
So good.
I
rated your reviews too. The drunker you got, the better they were. I just love it. I love it.
It got pretty weird, man. Like I didn't expect it. I went down the road to our mate Eden's place. He lives around the corner. Bloke won't shut up about isolation, so I tried to shut him up for a little bit. And like I just had a couple of beers, cracked into a 9% XPA, and then it was the rest is history pretty much. So I was up till 6 a.m. Monday morning. So
nice one.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, but then I was like, fuck, like it just got me toey for the pubs again. So I sort of regretted it a little bit, but I don't know, what can you do?
Well,
how good
we had this fucking amazing. We had this Zoom call the other night, and there's some of the close knit of mates of mine, and we were there, and one of the boys, it was 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock in France AM, and 12 o'clock in USA or something like that. So my mate, one of the boys, Jay, you remember Jay Havelu?
I do remember Jay.
Yeah, mate, and he was just on a mission. He was just like, skull. And then before you know it, the whole bottom of the screen was just Heineken bottles, like three rows back.
And it's like 9 a.m. or something.
Yeah, it was 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Oh, it was the best, mate. He was in so much trouble because he spewed on the floor or something as well. Like,
standard
yeah, we just were like, skull. It was dumb. It was just hilarious.
Oh, that's insane.
That's so funny. I actually think I saw that on your Instagram story or something. I think I saw something.
Yeah, I had a wig on, wearing a wig.
Yeah,
it got weird.
Fuck, what's new?
My missus is just like, what are you guys doing?
Nothing.
Having fun, Dale. Having fun.
It's called living, doing what you guys do. Anyway.
All right. Without further ado, I'll show you some of the, if I can get this thing to work. Have a go at the setup here from some of the boys. Now, this is sent through from Nick Olsen and Mitch Jackson. How good is that?
Wow.
Huge fan.
Yeah. I'm guessing Nicky Olsen's one's on the left.
Yeah.
That's a really good setup. That's well lit. Is he on a tennis
court?
Far
out.
Looks like a
I
tennis
think he
might be, yeah. And then Mitch.
Correct me if I think he's a chippy as well. That's fucking awesome. I love the fire as well. Like it's starting to get a little bit cooler. And the it looks like homemade tables and chairs and shit. So, and I love the Caterpillar as well, because that's just been like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm an Aussie battler, and I just sank piss. So, like, I think it adds like a really good touch. So, good work there, Nicky.
Great lighting, by the way. Great lighting.
Yeah. Mitch, I can't remember. You'll have to forgive me, Mitch, if you're tuning in, but I can't remember what beer he got. But he sent me through what the keg was and how much he got it for. And apparently 3 of them went through pretty much that whole keg in one day. And he said it was a pretty fun day. But how's the setup? Portable pub.
Yeah,
hey, that's perfect.
I'm a huge fan.
Like,
huge fan of that.
And massive scenery in the backgrounds there. Like you can tell he's on a bit of acreage or something. Yeah, like
I think he might live out in Kangaroo somewhere.
Oh, mate.
We had an olive farm at Nanango out there.
Lovely.
We joined.
And then the third and final contribution actually was someone who wanted to remain anonymous, but it probably wasn't as deluxe as these two, I would say. Let's take a quick look, shall we?
If that's not you, Das, I'm not here.
I wish that was me, mate.
Oh, my Lord. Who is that?
Great rig, by the way.
That's what I mean.
The body to hair ratio is just, it's not too much.
I just realised we're speaking.
For those of you,
if anyone's listening to the audio, we should probably describe what we're looking at.
So there's this absolute specimen of a man, a bit of a bruise on the shoulder, so it could be a footy player.
Yeah,
I actually have a sneaky suspicion who this is.
You know who it is, Clutzy, but don't. You definitely know who it is.
He's in
Has he
all
got
his
something to do
glory.
with fish?
He's probably had a poo masty. If you don't know what that is, probably Google it. So he's probably just.
Yeah,
had
I
a
don't know what
poo
that is in the
masty.
corner.
Yeah. Oh, that's just
Oh.
from the
Seems
poo
to be
masty.
a distinct
hang on.
lack of toilet paper there as well, so he
I
could be in
was
trouble.
about to say, can you see there's no toilet paper? Fucking hell.
It's ISO, mate. Straight in the shower.
That's
What do they call it? When you shit in the shower and you stomp it down?
Waffle stomp.
waffle stomp. Yeah,
Classic.
waffle stomp.
Classic
Now-
waffle.
Fucking hell.
Before we progress to the first, I suppose, official segment, there was a notable mention as well. Who was anonymous, but Paddy O'Toole wrote in and said he got so
Definitely not
written.
his rig.
No, it's not. It's a different person. He said he got so written off on Easter Saturday night that he slept in the toilet, covered in his own vomit, and missed the family breakfast on Easter Sunday morning. So big shout out to Paddy O'Toole.
You're doing it right, mate.
that
Don't
is-
let anyone tell you anything.
Oh my god.
That's
That
a
is
good
actually
nudge,
like
mate.
when you think about it, because he lives at home. Like he's gone back home. The fact that you missed breakfast at home that's insane. Like I don't know, like I'm sure the parents wouldn't have forgotten about you, big fella, but like that's an achievement and a half, eh? Like that's a good innings.
That's fucked.
All
That is
right.
good. I'm a huge fan of that.
Let's move on to the first segment, which is Would You Rather. Now, we had a few people send in a few Would You Rathers. Shout out to Abe, who sent in a fucking list a mile long, and they were all hilarious. I've chosen 3 of Abe's and 2
Abe,
others.
is that his real name? Abe?
100%.
Abe
Yeah.
Hopkins.
Yeah. He sent me through a massive
I
list.
smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins. Yeah, Abe. That's such a nostalgic biblical name. I love it.
And legit, all of his, there literally would have been about 50 in there, and I just went through and clicked on random ones. Like I didn't sort them at all.
Yeah.
So please excuse me if they're a bit weird. I did not write them. But
I'm all about it.
I think they're pretty good. So the first one,
Lovely, man.
would you rather have a magic fedora that allows you to attract any woman with the words "milady," or be able to run 5 times as fast as long as your arms are extended behind you and you're making plain noises?
That's a
I don't
tough
know.
one, eh?
I just pictured you both running down the sideline, like, yeah, exactly.
If I could tuck the ball under one arm and just
Yeah.
my way out of there. Fucking friend dog, get just fucking through there. Absolutely, Abe. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you. I'm doing that.
Look, to be honest, yeah,
I don't know what
I'd
plane
sort of
sounds
go
like,
for
by the
the
I don't know what fucking planes you've been on, mate.
Oh, yeah. Look, wrong era. There's still all those fucking a few of those. The Red Baron, whatever it is, one of those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that one.
Yeah. I definitely go that one as well because I've been trying to make a case to the coaches at Jeeps and the lower grades for I reckon the last 3 years that my speed is underutilized. So maybe this could be the thing that could get me out to, outside.
Look, mate, the eyes have been watching you. There's a few scouts. There's a few scouts down there.
Oh, well, mate, this is how I think of it. I'm fucking 6'4", 6'5", 120 kilos, and there's a bit of toe on this bloke. So I'm basically the lower grades version of Jonah Lomu.
Or George
no one's
Rose.
just giving me or George. Either or.
George Rose.
Same rig as George
I do
Rose.
love a couple of meat pies.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, fuck.
Just quietly before we move on to number 2, this I don't know if you can see it. This beer, the new Colonial Sour cracker, juniper lime.
I've just gone to your staple. Great Northern.
I've just finished that, and I'm about to crack onto number 2, which is the Bolter
I've
Hazy.
just
as well.
What's the hazy like?
Bloke in a bar. Oh,
it's actually
delicious.
amazing. Yeah, when they
So
brought it out.
what's it like? Is it like I don't like pale ale much.
Oh, it's like a hazy pale ale. I reckon you'd like it. It's pretty strong.
Have you had many IPAs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
You should
strong.
try. You should try the Helios Hazy.
If you want to
is a
get
good one to start on. Try that.
I want to get blind.
Definitely.
Anyway,
Yeah,
number
if
2.
you want to get blind, have one of these.
Number 2.
Like
This is a
in a
bit of
bar.
a weird one.
Actually, Darcy, before we go on to number 2,
Yep.
speaking of planes, I'd just like to shout out our new sponsor.
Our new sponsor, Josh. We
Yeah,
forgot
our
to tell
new
Rob.
sponsor.
We
So,
forgot to tell Mike about this.
oh
We'll tell him
yeah,
after.
well,
Anyway.
right. So basically, guys, we got a major sponsor for this podcast a couple of days ago. A bit shaky now, but Virgin Australia. Massive shout out to Virgin Australia.
They fly
Mate,
us down.
how many of those?
All of our interstate trips, Virgin, they've just got us covered. Best service, best
Think
customer
about
service.
how many. Think about how many of those flight attendants will be on OnlyFans soon.
Oh,
Just
mate.
Strumming
That's
the
ridiculous.
Thank you, Virgin Australia. So yeah, guys, use the code Bloody Brilliant Beers at checkout for a 10% discount on all your Virgin Australia flights.
Yeah, to nowhere. Oh, we're fucking stuck, mate. This is so
Okay,
Oh,
number two.
fuck.
This is a bit of a weird one. Have a big bird on your shoulder at all times, or never be able to wear shoes again.
I'm a big bird on your shoulder.
I feel like it's a tough one because you need to wear shoes to get into certain places, but they're probably not going to let you in with a bird on your shoulder.
What sort of bird? What are we going? What sort of bird?
I was going to say, if the big bird's back
like one of the
an elegant macaw,
yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
or one of those
that'd be
all those
sick.
monkey eating fucking eagles. You know those ones, the big harriers with the big fucking
Oh,
ones.
yeah.
and the talons that are bigger than
Yeah.
my hand, and just
All right, what'll it
teach you
be?
this.
I don't know. I wouldn't wear shoes, to be honest, because I don't wear shoes half the time. So,
Fair.
I
Yeah,
could probably
I'll go
sneak
no
my way
shoes.
into a number of places. Yeah.
I'll
Cool.
just paint my shoes. I'll paint my feet shoe color. Whatever
Smart.
shoes,
Oh,
Nikes.
Smart
You
man.
could paint thongs on.
Yeah, just get a tattoo.
Do a big
tick.
white tick on the side.
That's it, man.
Okay, so this one I thought was pretty fitting for this podcast, given your talents with voice acting, Mr. Freeney. But would you rather fight Mike Tyson in his prime, or talk like Mike Tyson for the rest of your life?
Yeah, talk like Mike Tyson for the rest of my life. It's just, I broke my back. Spinal.
Yeah, I would. Well, it depends. Is there a prize for fighting Mike with
No.
his prime?
The prize is you
I'll
don't have
just
to speak
on-
like him ever again.
No,
That's right.
Well, to be
Yeah, did you
honest,
mention your podcast?
I don't know. Mike Tyson in his prime, you get fucking.
I feel like it'd be a
Rubble.
one-punch kill, so like you'd be over and done with.
You could do some good media after.
I reckon.
Hey,
I'm
I'm the guy that got fucked up.
Who's has? Who's has?
Probably drop him.
Yeah, I'd probably fuck him up, to be honest with you. Whatever. A few skins for him too.
Okay, the last two.
Yeah, no, I'd rather fight him.
The last two were sent in by two different people, not Abe, and I feel like they're very fitting this evening, especially because we have Mr. Freeney with us. So, number one, would you rather play footy for brothers or stick a toothpick under your toenail and kick a wall?
Stick- I've already played for brothers, so fuck.
Yeah.
Done.
Nah, not anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
anymore.
It's we all
It's
have
all the
it.
light.
We've got a dark
Skeletons in the
past.
closet, and brothers is one of them.
That's it.
Yeah,
You've done your time.
had well, personally, I don't. This is my 19th season at Jeep, so I don't know. Take from that what you will.
All right, you don't need to rub it in.
So I'm guessing, Clutzy, you're going toothpick. You're going toothpick under the
Yeah,
toenail.
I'll go the toothpick because
I would expect
it's
nothing
a
less.
temporary pain. It's
Exactly right.
not
for
a
all
lifetime
boys.
infliction. You know.
God,
Yeah,
you're a
exactly.
good bloke. Okay, and the
You
last
can't
one.
give them heaps at brothers. That's the problem.
This is a
No,
similar one,
just-
but I feel like it could have a little bit more. Oh, anyway, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
Would you
Bring it on.
rather
Fuck.
support brothers for the rest of your life or never drink a sour beer again?
Oh.
Say it again.
Would you rather support brothers for the
Fuck.
rest of your life or never drink a sour beer again?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Oh fuck, that's a hard one.
Oh.
I'd have to support
But
brothers.
it's
mate.
actually tough.
I can't get rid of sours. I go support brothers with a sour. And then you can, well, how long do you have to support them for? Like
The
5
rest of your
minutes?
life. Rest of your life.
I have to give up sours.
Big call.
Yeah. I'd give up sours because you've still got some cracking beers
Yeah, 100%.
outside
You're
of
dead right.
there.
You're dead right.
God, I hope
And if I
Chief
didn't have
Rugby are
sours,
listening to
I'd...
this. Oh, we've got Clutzy on his good internet
Herbie, if you're
again.
listening, probably
Yeah,
not.
great. Nice dial-up,
but-
mate.
We caught none of that, Josh. You want to repeat it?
There we go. I'm back.
Yeah.
Hey.
Put your pocket Wi-Fi in somebody, get some bars, mate.
Yeah, fuck, I know. I'm a fucking stingy cunt. So shout out to Dad for not paying the bill.
We got a hot spot.
Yeah, no, I'm at the end of the house, so it's pretty cooked. But yeah, no, I don't know if Herbie's listening to this. Probably not. I don't blame him if he isn't. But,
Just send him the link, mate. It'll be out. He's probably not listening live because it's impossible.
Yeah.
We can send him the link once we upload it.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Or Matty Muller, can I have my money back since the season's probably not going ahead? Thank you.
Gonna need that. I'm gonna also need that.
All right.
Because then we can
Absolute
invest
success.
in sours.
That was Would You Rather. So if anyone has one for next week, I don't know who the guests are going to be. We haven't asked anyone yet, but send them through. We'll ask them all the tough questions. So segment 2.
Oh dear, here we go.
We've had a few pub stories that have come through, and this one in particular was shared by a gentleman who would rather remain anonymous, which is okay. But I'll set the scene a little bit. He was in Japan at the start of the year, and he got off the slopes about 2 p.m. to watch the Conor McGregor fight. He noticed that rum and cokes were half as much as beers, so he immediately got stuck into the scrums.
Oh dear.
Unfortunately, the fight lasted only 30 seconds, so he left there and got into the strong O's, which are the, I don't know how you say it, the zero things, you know, those like ridiculously
I've
strong
seen
vodka
them
things you
around.
can get.
Yeah.
Rolled
Are they
around
good?
town. Oh, I've
Sorry.
never had it. I've never been to Japan, but apparently they are. They're cheap as, I think. That's the appeal. Rolled around for several hours in town, almost threw in the towel before dinner because he couldn't see anything, but decided to rally and made it through dinner and got back to the hostel bunch and proceeded to kick on till close. Now, during the evening at one stage, he actually managed to get himself into a fist fight with his best mate, which had to be broken up by
Mate,
the...
that's why they're called mate haters, mind you.
and he...
That's my reason why I don't drink them.
The fight had to be broken up by the bartender, and his mate actually got put in a headlock by the bartender. And then later on in the night, he had to stop his dad from getting in a fight with some bloke because his dad had called the bloke a very bad word, which I do not wish to repeat live on recording. And then to roll it all up and to make matters worse, next day at the hostel, they went to breakfast, and the bartenders and the guy that dad called a, you know what, were all there. Worst hangover in recent memory.
Oh, it's so good. I'm a fan of that. That's mate. There's nothing,
particularly overseas.
Nothing's ever. No, there's no good story that started with I started drinking rum before beer. Ever.
Yeah, never. I actually have a similar story when we went to Queenstown. Not so similar. We went to Queenstown. A group of us, there's like 14 of us, went over there and went skiing, and it was the last night in the hostel, and we had all this alcohol left over, and we're playing 3-man, you know, the game with the dice, and like if you're, it's sort of like King's Cup. Like if a 7's up, you have to point to the yeah, and if a 3's rolled and you're 3-man, you have to drink, and the only way to get off 3-man is if you roll a 3. So we were playing, and there's this group of boys from Newcastle or something that we met who were there. So there was like 14 of us and 10 of them. So there was like nearly 25 people, and I'm 3-man. So it's just going around, and I'm just like, like not good. Ended up getting kicked out of the hostel at like 10 o'clock when the curfew was or whatever, and tried to go into town. And my guts were like, I felt so sick, and I was like, oh, I need to do shit. And I sprinted into Queenstown by myself into the pub and sat down on the toilet. I was sitting there, I was like, nothing, absolutely nothing. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Ran back out and tried to get back to the hostel. And next thing I know, I got woken up by a random bloke, and I was passed out in the snow, like vomit everywhere. I'd literally just fallen over and gone to sleep in the snow. And some random bloke woke me up and saved my life.
Holy shit! I've got a bit different story, but a great story that gets told. It was one of the tours we went for Bangkok 10s, and one of the Brizzy boys, Milo, just walking down the street and just gets glassed in the middle of the day
As you do.
at 12 p.m. during the day. We were supposed to go training, but we thought the pub would be better. So just doing a little bit of a pub crawl up on Soi 4 there in Bangkok. Soi 4, not a bad place. So he got glass at like 12 p.m. Night, day went on, night went on. At one stage, he loses us. Anyway, he's walking, trying to find it. Going to all these pubs, trying to find us. So it won't be far away. Anyway, I asked these Thai guys, "Oh, have you seen our mates? The footy boys. Have you seen them?" "Oh yeah, come with me. He's walking for a while, a bit weird. Keeps walking, ends up going to this bar. Everything's shut up shop. There's this one old Thai lady in there. Walks in, nothing else. It's pretty much dark. They've only got a couple of lights on. Looks and the Thai lady stops counting her money or whatever. Looks up at him and goes, "It's not him." And they're like, "Oh, okay, you're right to go, mate." And he's just like, "What the fuck?" Anyway, and so he ends up. I don't know what would have happened to him. I don't know. So that's open for interpretation. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't going to be good. Anyway, we come back. He ends up finding us. I think we're at Hooters. I think we're at Hooters there in the corner, and he's rocked up, and he's just got this weird look on his face. He goes, "Boys, you wouldn't bloody believe what just happened with me." He got a beer obviously first, and fucking walks us through it, and we're just like, "Bro, you just could have got killed." Like, imagine if it was you that's done something. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of a gnarly story. You survived. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Clutzy, have you prepared anything for us, or?
No, I'm just trying to think. Like, it's not exactly pubbish, but
I think as long as it's on the piss, that counts.
Oh yeah, it was a really weird experience for me actually. Going back to my 21st. So I had my 21st at the Ashgrove Bowls Club, and got pretty fucking blind. Went out from that night and went to the Valley, got blind again. The next thing I know, I just kept getting blind, got more blind. And the next thing I know, I'm at the AC tab. And I was like, hang on, how the fuck am I at the AC tab? Anyway, kept going on from there. Don't really remember much from there. It's more of a horror story waking up. The next morning, keeping in mind that I started at Ashgrove, I could smell the sea breeze and like salt in the air. And I was like, what the fuck? My phone was dead. Like, it was just fucked. I had no fucking idea where I was. And I woke up and I was with these people I used to work with at Macca's back in the day. And I didn't recognize them at first as well. And I was like, where the fuck are we? Like, we're in Sandgate. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, somehow I ended up from Ashgrove to the Valley to Albany Creek to Sandgate. And I was like, holy
that's a fucking your journeyman.
Mate, it was absolutely cooked. And I was like, Jesus Christ, where the fuck are we? That was pretty scary for me. And then I was like, fuck, I think I need to get home. And the whole time I forgot, like, that this was happening on this weekend. Got all the way back to Ashgrove and was like, fuck yeah, sweet. And the boys are like, where the fuck you been? I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I've been at Sandgate. They're like, well, why the fuck didn't you stay out there? I was like, because it's Sandgate. I live in Ashgrove. Like, you're a fucking idiot. They're like, no, cunt. We bought you tickets for your birthday and you're going to this festival at Sandgate. So I'm hungover as fuck. I'm just having the absolute worst time. Like, I don't usually get hangovers either, so I'm just having the absolute worst time.
Was that Castaway that we went to?
Castaway, yeah. And the boys are like, we've been trying to call you for praise, bro. We're coming to your house. I was like,
oh
what the
God,
fuck's going on? So then the boys rock up. I think I had like 2 beers. I'm yakking over the balcony at my place, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, where do I have to go to this? Is this going to persist? Like, it was just the worst thing ever. So we went back out there. The festival was pretty decent. And I
Did you get the second wind? Like, did you have a few? You
I,
know,
I
you're
got,
like,
I got,
I'm dying,
mate,
I'm dying. You have a few, and you're like, yeah, it wasn't so bad. Fucking yeah,
I-
boys.
I got the second win, bro. I had a couple of double blacks in the car ride out there. Had a mad time at the festival, and then we were all like, "Fuck, it'd be sick to go out," but we were sort of dying. And then Dad rocks up,
Mate,
and
this is the
Dad
greatest
pulls
sight
up
you'll
to
ever see.
Dad pulls up, and we're all like trudging along. This is at Sandstone Point Hotel. We jump in, and he's like,
Bribey.
"G'day,
Yeah.
boys. Check in the back." And I was like, "What are you going on about? Like, fuck off. We just want to go home." Open up the car boot, and here's an esky full of beers and a
Full
couple of
with piss.
rumbos. And Dad's like, "Got some fucking beers and rums for you on the way home, boys." Like,
Legit,
we're
the
all
boys were
sweet.
walking like so defeated, like, fuck, how are we even
Oh,
going to get
yes.
home? And Clutzy's like, oh, it's all good mix coming, like, thank God. And he pulls up one and he's like, jump in, boys, check out the boot. And we get it.
So we're just getting sloshed on the way back to Brisbane, and I don't know if many people have been out to Sandstone Point. There's a roundabout there as well,
I was
and
wondering if
I
you
still
tell the
remember
start of the
this
story.
I remember this so well because Dad just goes, "Look at this gross chick," and we're like, "What are you looking at?" And there's this chick in the middle of the roundabout squatting down, chucking a piss.
Oh,
And Dad's just like, nah, you got to see this. So he does a loop of the roundabout, and he just winds the window down and just starts laughing. Like, he's like pissing himself laughing at this chick. And
Fuck.
for
that's
people who
good
don't know
gear.
Dad, like he's a pretty tame bloke most of the time. So it was pretty fucking funny to
He loves
just
the Jeeps.
experience that side of it. He does.
That was a great night, great car trip home.
Oh, that
It was
so good.
ridiculous, but
That
yeah,
is
that went
fucking
from
good
like
gear.
it went
That's
from
a
a
fucking
bad
event.
hangover to a great hangover. Yeah, it was a fucking eventful weekend.
Good weekend. I swear we did have pre house for that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we did. I was just hating it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So following on from the greatest pub stories, obviously we've got some interesting hangover stories now. Probably the pick of the bunch that was sent through this week was from a bloke who has been getting around the group, and the page is so hard. Sean Willis Blanche. I'm sure you've seen him posting.
Yeah.
Bloke is a fucking
Big
cutting
Blanchy.
legend. Yeah. He loves
Is he
a beer
Richard
or two.
Blanch's cousin? Eh?
Actually, good question.
Dude, I was wondering that the other day. He's from Cairns, so I don't know if Blanchy's from Cairns, but
They sort of look similar too, don't they?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, just
And they love rugby.
Yeah, they love it.
All right, so this one again is a bit of a story, but he sent it through, and I thought he was going to want to remain anonymous for this, but I asked him, he was like, "Nah," and he's even sent through a video for the next slide.
Oh,
I love it. Yes.
Anyway, it's 2018, so a couple of years ago. He was in the Philippines for the Mrs. Cousin's weddings, and it was an open bar. Except the only issue was it was only spirits, and their spirits may as well have been paint stripper. all the cousins kept belting me with shots, and I think at one stage I did 6 straight of these weird foaming things, and I blacked out at about midnight after giving them all a good laugh.
holy shit!
Woke up the next day on a mattress in our Airbnb, covered in my own spew, and to make matters worse, there's no water pressure in the shower, so I couldn't even clean myself up properly.
Fuck.
Went outside and passed out under a tree. It was so stinking hot, I don't think I've ever sweat that much in my life. And next thing, all the family turn up, fresh as daisies, laughing, and show me videos of the white man dance moves from the night before.
Fuck. Oh, farang.
They came for lunch, and when I smelt the food they prepared, I couldn't help but spew up again and pass out. The whole time, the missus is abusing me for not helping to pack our things for the flight home. Had a few issues with customs and ended up having to bribe them a few hundred pesos, and then ended up sitting behind a crying baby the whole way home. Moral of the story is don't drink spirits with pillows. Nothing good comes from it. Oh, and I had to go to work the next day.
Oh,
that's just when you
that
teleport.
sounds absolutely cooked, Blanchy.
That's such good gear, mate. And that is just a classic Asia story. I love it.
If this works, this technology, I believe we've got actual footage from the night before of Blanchy dancing. Here we go. It's a
Oh,
short
no.
clip, but
Yes.
it's a cracker. Oh no.
Oh,
It should play.
please work.
Look
Yeah.
at him go.
That's a bit of a gabba gabba.
That's
you
the
wearing?
bloke. I don't know. It looks like quite a
He's
nice
looking so
floral
fresh,
shirt. I
eh?
don't know if it's floral shirt or vomit down his front, but
Oh, that's fucking amazing.
That's so
That
good.
is so good, man. I fucking
That's a
love that
terrible
shit.
hangover.
the paint stripper will get you every time.
Yeah.
Mate, it's just,
Fuck, I
it's just-
reckon. I reckon my worst hangover I've ever had. Going back to my Colts days, it was my second year at Colts. It was that 2014, and we had a team bonding session at the bloke's house, and mate of mine, myself and Harry Whiting, we rocked up an hour late, so I think 1 o'clock after it was meant to start at 12, and we went there with the intention to see who could finish a 30 block of bitters the quickest.
No
Yes,
one.
the old bitters.
No one can finish.
Yeah, anyway,
30
we got
block
there
of
and
bitters.
no, exactly. And so anyway, we got there and like this bloke, bit of an odd fella, not like really lovely family, bit of an odd fella. So Harry and we rock up and there was no one else there. And I don't know, like
Didn't
I
you rock
hate
up
those
late?
sort of situations. We rocked up an hour late and there was no one else there. And I felt real bad, but also was like, fuck, I need to get out of here. Or get blind. So Harry and I were texting each other rather than talking because we didn't want to be rude. Also started texting boys in the chat being like, I started hitting up fellas left, right, and center, being like, fucking, where are you? Like, Nick Larissy, Connor O'Shea, we're hitting up them, being like, where the fuck are you? And they were like, oh, sorry, we got a bit carried away at Prees. We'll be there eventually. So Snapper and I were just like, all right, we need to make the best of a bad situation. Let's just get fucking
100%.
So we were like, all right, let's try and see who can make the best wizard stick before the boys can get in.
Yes.
So we just started pounding bitters. I think I went through about 12 of them before anyone rocked up. So they rocked up 3 hours late. So we had about 2 hours. We'd both gone through 10 to 12 beers. And I was just absolutely paraplegic. The coaches were like, this is incredible stuff. This is why we chose you as co-captain. And I was like, sweet, awesome. Kept going. And then everyone talked about going to the LA, who was one of our sponsors at the time. And I was like,
I
fuck
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, fuck yeah, this sounds good. Kept smashing beers because I was balling on a budget, so I didn't really want to spend much when we got there. Anyway, the next thing I remember was calling this bloke Shuey at this park in the Gap because Snapper and I both didn't have enough money for a cab home, and the other boys had kicked us out of the cab because we were that fucked. So I was passed out with, so between the two of us as well, I was pretty impressed. We had 10 bitters left by the end of this session. So we'd gone through 50 beers between the two of us because it was absolutely fucked. And I just remember calling Shuey and being like, you need to give me a lift home. But it would have been more like, yeah. So this bloke, he's come from the gym and he's picked us up and we've given him shit the whole way back to mine. And then I don't remember anything. Keep in mind, this is at 6 o'clock at night. So I was on my ass. My parents were away for the weekend. And
home for dinner, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So the parents were away. My sister was away for the night as well. And we had this thing, it was called Dickhead of the Week. And I ended up Dickhead of the Week for what happened next. So I messaged in our group chat being like, fuck yeah, kick-ons at my place at 7. And the next day I woke up and all the boys were like, cunt, you were passed out at 6 o'clock. Like, you're out of it. There's no way we're coming there. You just kept persisting. Come to
They've
my
just
place.
arrived at the LA.
Yeah, exactly. So
we're still
they
at
just giving me so
threes.
much shit for it. Yeah. And then, yeah, so I was that blind. I thought it was that late at night that I offered to have kick-ons. I woke up the next morning. I don't remember anything from when I got home, really. And I woke up the next morning and I had 2 20-litre buckets on either side of me and an ice cream container on my chest. Turns out Harry Whiting had to drag me up my stairs. And then
Skull drag,
in
hopefully.
yeah. and then he's taken me to my toilet. I've thrown up. I've missed the bowl. There was nothing in the bowl. Everything's on the
Oh, we've lost
got
him
me
again.
into bed and he's left me there. He was taking videos and shit at the time as well. So I've woken up the next morning with all these buckets and I was like, what the fuck? And then I've walked out and there's this note on the table from my sister who was in year 12 at the time. Being like, you're a fucking disgrace. Go down to the toilet, check what you've done and clean it up before mum and dad get home. You're terrible. And I was like, oh, okay.
Whoops.
What the fuck? I walk in there, there's just like chunks of yak everywhere. And it was just, and I was so, I can't deal with vomit, let alone I can't even deal with my own vomit.
Air
And it was just
tasker.
honestly one of the worst things. And I'm just like trying to clean up.
$50 to come clean.
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 Forex bitters if you come and clean.
Yeah. They're warm though.
You can have the
was
Esky
honestly,
there if you want.
It was dead set. The shittest I've ever felt. So I had to do all this cleanup and whatnot. Got ridiculed by the boys for more than a week. I had to wear the Dickhead of the Week jersey, which was this bright pink, I'm a cute girl thing. It was just genuinely fucked. So that's probably my worst hangover.
That's pretty funny. That's a good yarn. Who's up? You up, Das?
Yeah, I'm actually. Clutzy's probably more aware of this than you, Freddie, but I get the worst hangovers. Like,
Really?
It's so bad. Like, I get them so bad. Probably the worst one I've ever had was I actually have been to hospital once, but it was when I was like 18 or 19. I can't really remember it. Like, I just remember we went to I wasn't going to tell this story. That was a funny one, but I'll tell this one quickly. It was actually Alice Pratt's 18th, so he must have been 18. And I worked at this bowls club with my stepbrother, and they had a keg of VB that was off. And he was like, oh, if you and your mates come through, I'll just give you free, like, VB schooners. I was like, fuck yeah. So drinking off VB all Arvo. Then go to Alice Pratt's.
Does it taste any different than it already does?
No, yeah. Went to Alice Pratt's 18, and they had Goon Punch, which was free. So just hammering Goon Punch. Basically passed out in the bathrooms at Oholo, and like someone had to get me home, and I just woke up like covered in my own vomit. Had to go to hospital to get put on a drip. Anyway, that was bad. But one of my favorite stories it was Jack Silversmith's birthday, and he had a party down. He like organised to go camping down the coast, and I think I had to work on like the Saturday or the Sunday. I can't remember. I must have had to work on the Sunday. So I was like, can't be bothered to go down. And then Dan Ryan, one of our other mates, is like, I've got to work Saturday, but I feel really bad. If I drive down on Friday with the van, do you want to come with me and we can sleep in the back of the van and then we can at least have Friday night there? I was like, yeah, sweet. So Dan picks me up. Well, on the way down, Dan's like, oh, yeah, by the way, I start work at like 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's like a 2-hour drive. So he's like, yeah, we're just like, we won't go out. We'll just have prees and then like go to bed at 10 or 11 or something. And I was like, yeah. So we end up getting to bed at 4 a.m. or something from the Cooley Hotel.
Classic.
Sleep in the back of Dan's van and the alarm goes off and it feels like we've been asleep for like 1 minute. It's like, holy shit. I was like, oh, thank God I don't have to drive. Dan's driving. Anyway, first stop was pulled into Macca's and I ate like $20 for the hash browns. And Dan actually lives close to my missus, so I'd parked with my missus and he dropped me back there. And I got there in the morning. I was like, I should go say hello. Walk inside, and I wasn't working that day, but she said, can you drop me to work in the city? And I was like, oh my God.
No.
Yeah. So I drove Rage all the way into the city, like the whole time, like cross-eyed. Get home, and as I got home, I like laid down on bed. I was like, finally, I can get back to sleep. And I was like, oh, I feel a bit crooked, and I like shot up out of bed and ran around, like had to do a 90-degree turn to get into the bathroom from my bedroom. And as I'm opening the bathroom door, I projectile vomited onto the back of the toilet. And because I'm trying to run to get there so fast, I've gone head down, and the top of my head's just smacked the top of the toilet. And I was like, continued vomiting. And then once I sat back up, I said all my own vomit through my own head. So yeah, that was probably up there.
What about you, friends?
A quick one. I got two quick ones. The first one was, I don't know what happened. We had a massive night the night before, and I had to go. My best mate was somewhere, and we had to go pick him up. And so we were driving there, and I was just so hungover, and I was just like, I've fucking never been this hungover in my life. I'm sitting in the back of my fucking shirt like this, just going, just vomiting on myself. And then like, I'm like, you need to pull over, man. I'm like fucking vomiting and catching it in my shirt. And then fucking like just at the servo, just like dying, just like vomiting on myself. And then got to the point where I was just like, oh, fuck it. Just keep driving. Just, I'm just,
The worst.
and the worst ever hangover was after the full moon party in Copenhagen, and
on the paint stripper.
On those fucking buckets, and we're just smashing buckets, and then we go to the Mushroom Mountain, and then just smashing mushroom shakes, and then I black out, can't remember anything. And all I know is I woke up next day outside of 7-Eleven with just my bum bag on and a pair of boardies. Like what happened last night. People have been painting me and stuff, and then I'm like, oh, that was a bit weird. Fucking whatever. Anyway, I end up getting on a scooter with some 80-year-old lady. She dropped me to where the bloody the big boat is that takes you back to Koh Samui, and I passed out on the boat. Like, as soon as everyone walks on, like, literally, they had to walk over me, and everyone's like, fucking move. And I was like, fuck off. Like, just so sick. And I was just, like, vomiting. And just, everyone's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, fuck off. And then, like, 2 days later, we're on Koh Samui, and just some tourists has pulled me up, and I'm trying sunglasses. I'm going, oh, you, I can't believe you're alive. I'm like, what? And she's like, you wouldn't let anyone in or out of a 7-Eleven, and oh man, just telling me this wild story, and the boys like looking at me like, and I'm like, I don't know,
It wasn't me.
It was just so sick.
On the
I've never been
beers.
so sick. Yeah, and the mushies.
That's legit me. I can have 5 beers and so crook.
Really?
Oh mate,
I'm not a big vomiter, but yeah.
I vomit. Drop of a hat, I'll vomit. I never vomit on the night out, but like the next day.
Oh really?
I'll be out all day.
The last
2 days.
bad one was at that Ben's. Have you ever been there?
No.
Ben's Vietnamese. It's a karaoke joint.
Oh yeah,
it's a good bit of gear. It's a good bit of gear.
Fucking so good.
And
I've been kicked out of there.
Oh yeah, the stars aligned one night, and all the boys were back. We took our misses and stuff, and I bought 4 bottles of wine. I'm just like, I'm going to nudge it tonight. And I'm just like, my missus reckons I sculled like a bottle of wine. Then, oh, mate, yeah, I was just red wine everywhere, all through my mate's car and everything. Yeah, and I woke up the next day. I'm like, oh, geez, I feel a bit sick. And she's like, mate, you're a pig. And I'm like,
mate, I get it so bad. Even like 2 weeks ago, when we were on house party on the Saturday night, I'll still cook on Monday morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I get it so bad.
Jesus, that sucks.
It's horrible.
Drink more water, man, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe try and do some exercise occasionally, or eat healthy or something. I don't know.
I had a pretty bad one a couple of months back. I was meant to help Dad up at Caboolture build a fence, and I don't know, we'd gone out on the piss somewhere.
So shit.
And like I never really get crook. Dad knows this as well. Like I've gone out mustering and stuff the morning, like, leave 7 a.m. to go out mustering after getting home at 4. So I'm used to that sort of shit. But fuck, this one day, I don't know what it was. I was trying to sleep on the car up to Caboolture. And then I was just like, hey, Dad, do you mind pulling over? And he's like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah. I was real casual about it. I was like, do you just mind pulling over? I'm pretty sure I'm going to yak. And he's like, yeah, all right, sounds good. And I'm just sitting there tapping my feet, man, like, nah, fuck, here she comes. Here she comes. And as soon as I start thinking about it, I know it's going to fucking come so much quicker. And I was looking around in his ute, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what's here? And there was a 2-liter ice cream container, like a Buller
Not
ice
enough.
cream
What do
container.
you have them
enough.
everywhere?
So, what was that?
What do you have ice cream containers everywhere, Cam?
Oh, Dad was
loves
using
his
the
ice cream.
tools or some shit. Dad was on the tools, so I just fucking poured all the shit out of it, and I've held this thing, and I'm throwing up, and Dad's just pissing himself laughing at me, and then we finally stop, and I've finished throwing up, and the thing's just about to overflow with vomit, and he's just like, mate, I'm disappointed. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, that was my favorite ice cream container. And I was like, that's such a dad joke. So I was just like, you're a fucking idiot. Just throwing the ice cream container away, drove off. So that was the last bad time I had to throw up, I reckon.
Oh, I'm jealous. I get it. I'll probably have one tomorrow if I'm honest. All right. Last segment. I wanted to do an ask Klutz anything. We only got 2 questions sent in, which is pretty woeful. But
So I guess we'll have to ask him.
yeah. I guess I could sort of pitch them to both of you as well. The first one, Klutzy, was from Harry Whiting, who you brought up before. And I'm actually interested to hear the response from Mike Oxlong to this one as well. But what's the most amount of beers you've ever had in 10 minutes? And he would like some video proof if it's available.
Oh, most in 10. Honestly, maybe not beers, but
I remember you did that cruise one recently.
I tried to do 10 cruises in 10 minutes, and I did 6 in 5.5, and then I almost yacked. That was pretty impressive. That's on film.
It is. I've
The
seen
cruiser
I saw
boys
that. I remember that.
fucking crucified me for it. Probably the most amount of beers a while back.
10
Might be
cruises
like
in 10
2.
minutes. Oh, I can do that. I can do it.
Bullshit.
Hold me to it.
All right.
Oh, okay. I'll fucking hold you to it,
10
man.
cruises in
Oh
2
my
minutes.
gut, the amount of liquid in my
Perfect.
gut, that was fucked, man. It was
10 cruises,
cooked.
10
I think
minutes.
I need to.
I can do it.
When are you going to do it?
It's fucked.
Well, we'll do it as a segment.
Right.
When are we
a
going
bit
to
of
do
a
it?
segue.
8:23 p.m. tonight.
Oh,
I think probably though there was a while back. I don't know what it was. It was in one of our sport chats. Someone said something about sculling beers, and they kept asking me to do it. And I think in a maybe 10-minute period, I sculled a 6-pack of Cooper's Greens.
Oh, that'll get you.
So maybe only 6 in 10. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, that doesn't sound that good. It might be that good. It's under a beer every 2 minutes, but fuck, I don't know.
I can't remember the amount, but all I know is when I was from about 18 to maybe now. Nah, not that. But when I was younger, especially through Colts and that, I was almost invincible at sculling. I could just smash it. Fucking led into a lot of trouble, but you know.
I reckon I can scull like 1 beer pretty quick, but that's about it. Like I don't think I've.
I could never scull. When I was 18, sorry for story time, but I remember this so vividly. It was my first. I was playing off the bench for Prem Colts at the time, and we had a trip up to the Sunny Coast Rays. And
was that 2014? Remember that on the boat, on the bus trip?
I was 2013 for this one. Yeah,
Either
2013.
Or when Shane Arnold was the coach for Prems.
Yeah, because we had Nick
yeah.
Frisbee as an honorable guest on the trip up in 2013. It was honestly so fucked, man. I couldn't scull a beer, and they paired us, whatever your number in Prem Colts was, they paired it with your Prem grade partner. So I got fucking Stutty. And
Oh, that would have been
we
fun.
stopped at the Caboolture Servo on the way back after smashing beers. It was Straker's birthday as well, so it was absolutely cooked. And anyway, we were doing Ring of Fire at the Caboolture
Oh, yeah.
Servo out on the grass patch there.
I
And
remember
I've
that.
gone to scull my second beer, and I've just sprinted for the bushes. And I was playing, second row at the time. So I sprinted the bushes, I start yakking, and then the flankers go in, and number 8. And then this bloke, I just feel this thudding, and someone put his arm and just smacked me on the back and just like pulled me in tight and then starts throwing up, and it's Stutty. And he just looks at me and he goes, "You're my fucking cult partner, and I'm going to fucking stick with you, and we'll stick together through thick and thin tonight, bro." And he just held me next to him as we threw up together in a bush.
Was that pre or post
Yes.
bird bath?
Oh, I didn't know about that. Nice one.
Definitely. No, I haven't. Unfortunately, I haven't done a bird bath myself. I
Been the
need to get Big
recipient.
Red to do one of them.
Recipient.
We need Big Red for a bird bath.
I've been trying to get him back so bad.
Oh,
Maybe we should get him on the
so
pod,
good.
Clutzy.
Oh, he
Oh,
wouldn't be
fuck,
bad
that'd
gear.
be-
Mate, the best Mad Monday
Meatloaf-
was when we
Meatloaf
walked in, everyone had shaved Red's hair and had shoved his hair in the hat. So everyone had all this red long hair. Fuck, it was the funniest shit
That's
I've ever seen.
disgusting.
And I look over at Red and he's just bald.
I've got this great video of him that I screen recorded where someone shaved his eyebrows off as well as his hair. So like,
Yeah, so
but
probably
when it
something
was
on it.
all happening, oh, it's so good.
I
Yeah,
get
fuck,
footy
what was this?
in the piss.
Oh, mate, I love footy. I need it back. What was the second question, guys?
Yeah, second and last question was, this one was actually for Freeney, I'm not going to lie, but I feel like it's a good question to ask both people. Give us a break,
Yeah.
mate. We're trying our hardest.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing or best thing you've been kicked out of a pub or club for?
Oh,
Well, getting nude is probably the most common one.
yeah. I was
When have
I was
you
gonna
gone
say
nude?
I'd take my shirt off a fair bit.
Yeah, fair,
get my
fair.
ass
Lids
out.
off is-
I don't really get the dick out,
Pussy.
but
Um,
it's the best thing I've done.
it's been put on the spot.
Yeah, my
Um,
apologies.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
all right.
You go real south.
Oh no, a lot of boys have pictures of this as well. But back when I was a single man, I was a bit of a menace, I would say. And
As opposed to
we're
now.
at. I'm more of a control menace, but like Aaron's a menace as well. So we sort of it's a fuck combination. But yeah. So back when I was single, I was at it was when Prohibition first opened up. Used to frequent there a lot. And I got kicked out for, sorry, mum and dad, if you're listening. But yeah, I was like just dry humping the shit out of someone on a couch in the side room at Prohibition. Just like I was blind and all the boys were taking photos and videos and just really, yeah, fuck. The next day, like I pulled, so I was pretty happy. But the next day, like, fuck me, I copped it, Like, everyone was just like, you are the fucking worst cunt. Like, why did we have to view that? Yeah, it was like, imagine like a seal, like, trying to move its
Yeah,
way
like
on
just a
land.
majestic
That
sea
was
lion.
me
Just
on- Yeah.
Hey,
Exactly.
elephant
That was
seal.
me on the couch. It was absolutely cooked. Yeah, no, that was pretty bad. I've weirdly enough, I've been kicked out of the Nui a lot for screening on the pokies too much.
Really?
That happens a fair bit. Yeah,
I can
that
actually see
happens
that
all
happening,
the
yeah.
time. Me and Straxy.
Sorry, man.
I honestly don't think I've been kicked out of that many pubs or
Oh,
clubs.
fuck. Mine's just usually the usual stuff, just mainly just getting a bit too rowdy, getting the boys in, having, interlocking arms and just having a good team
Packing a
talk and
scrum.
getting real G'd up, and then just and then lids off, and then just like sculling, just wrestling and tackling,
it's the
and
best.
stupid shit like that.
It actually.
Mate,
I tell you what, though.
Funny story.
Back when I was younger, it was probably just blowing.
It wasn't me, but I remember when Clutzy, we did those events at TBC, the Feed the Chook events. I remember being up in the booth and seeing a door like floating across the dance floor. And I was like, what the fuck? And some bloke had pulled the toilet door off its hinges in the male toilets of TBC and like tried to take it outside into the dance floor and got kicked out. And we had to pay for it. Like, you have to pay for renting the venue. Someone's ripped the door off. I was like, what the fuck?
It was so...
we're taking this out of your takings. I was like, what do you mean? It's not our fault. Someone ripped the door off.
I was actually thinking, maybe another one. Things that you should have been kicked out for.
Sorry, go.
I was going to say, last year, Mad Monday, I can't remember if you were there, friends, but the shit that we were allowed to do at,
he's gone again.
Mate, it was
where?
Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah.
I forgot what the place was, man, but it's sort of near Alfred and Constance, that little pub there.
Mate, that was a blur that night, mate. The last one? Mate, the Jube.
Like the Jube, yeah. Holy shit. The stuff we did at the Jube, like Troy and Miley fucking doing a run it straight challenges and shit like that. Throwing tables and shit around. They were just like laughing. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I never got kicked out for that. And I was like, honestly, I think that's a bit worse than
it's
humping someone on a couch.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny when like you get to the stage where you just think it's okay to pour your own piss and stuff like that, and like put your head under it. What are you doing?
It's fine. It's Mad Monday. It's all good.
Yeah. But there's a couple of good lock-ins. We were sponsored by the Iceworks one year back in, I think it was I can't remember, back in 2013 or something like that. And it was just, they just cornered the whole thing off and just let loose. And Weary's older brother, shut himself, and we had to hose him down with the fire hose.
Yeah. I missed that Mad Monday, but everyone was just like, holy fuck, Weary shut himself and he's naked.
We had to hose him down. What about 2017? I reckon we were looser than 2018. That was insane.
2018 was, it was pretty cooked. 2018 was the best bender I've ever had. 2017 was actually, I didn't make it to Mad Monday. I had the runs on 2017. Yeah, it was terrible. I just remember getting a Snapchat of Lockie Jackson tied to a pole and getting spray painted blue.
Happens to the best of us. Standing out.
Mate, I can't wait for Mad Monday this year. If it fucking
just even if they play the last few rounds, and then it's just a quick season. Everything gets over and done with.
I said this in the other podcast. The bend of after the season will be longer than the actual season.
100%.
It fucking will be. Alrighty, well, anything else to cover there, Das? No more questions, eh?
I don't reckon. I think we're all done.
Yeah, I'm definitely about to piss.
Dolphin nosing is
so.
I reckon, Clutzy, we'll probably try and do this again next week. So I don't know what the segments or questions will be. We'll put them up on our Instagram. So if you want to get involved, send us through any questions or responses, and we'll bring them up on the pod. We'll probably get a special guest back in next week as well. Don't know who it'll be, but there'll be someone.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Franny, mate, thank you so much for coming on. You're a pleasure as always. It's bloody great hearing and seeing you.
No problems, boys. I hope we can do this soon, and then hopefully in real life.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, fuck yeah. I'm
Like,
very tired
as
for
soon
that.
as soon as lockdown's over, we're going to do another episode exactly like this, except in person,
In
and we're only
person.
allowed to drink sours.
Perfect. And then make a wizard staff.
Yes.
Yes, please. And
Yes.
probably get naked. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you've made it this far, it's Bloody Brilliant Beers. We are on the piss. Thanks for tuning into our first episode of this one. And yeah, guys, make sure you share it with someone. Like, subscribe, do all that sort of shit for us. It would mean the world to us. But yeah, you're on the piss of Bloody Brilliant Beers. And
Love us
as
all.
always, guys, remember, give them heaps.
Let's
Give
let
'em heaps.
Let's let Freddie sign us out.
Yeah, signing out, everyone. Mike Oxlong out. Give them heaps.
Thanks, mate.
James.